when he died.
Get away from him!
But he stopped breathing.
No!
Halloween 2 wasn't just a sequel. It was a fever dream stitched together in blood and neon, where a quiet hospital became a maze of buzzing fluorescent lights and cold surgical instruments. But behind the masked terror was chaos. John Carpenter drowning in beer cans while forcing out a sibling twist, lawsuits simmering over production rights, and last-minute gore edits spliced in to keep up with the rising slasher craze. These are 10 creepiest facts about Halloween 2. And hidden in the shadows is a Japanese movie poster that turned Michael Myers into something far stranger, a zombie. Number 1, Michael Myers was recast. In the original Halloween, the silent shape of Michael Myers was brought to life by stuntman Nick Castle. But when the sequel rolled around, Castle had moved on to directing, leaving the mask to a new performer, Dick Warlock. Warlock studied Castle's every move, down to the chilling closet scene, to make sure Myers still felt like the same unstoppable force. Yet something was off. The exact same mask was used, but on Warlock's rounder face it stretched unnaturally, almost like it was too small, giving Myers a strange, tight look. For fans, it was unsettling in a different way, as if the boogeyman had returned with a new face hiding under the same mask. Number 2, drunken script twist. The shocking reveal that Laurie Strode was Michael Myers' sister wasn't some grand master plan. It came from John Carpenter, stuck at his typewriter late at night, frustrated and out of ideas. With beer cans piling up around him, he forced a twist into the script that would forever reshape the franchise. Carpenter later admitted he thought the sibling subplot was silly and foolish, nothing more than a desperate attempt to stretch a story he believed had already been finished in the first film. But what started as a hazy, alcohol-fueled decision ended up becoming one of the most famous and controversial twists in horror history. Number 3. The hospital was haunted by airplanes. Much of Halloween 2 was filmed inside Morningside Hospital in Los Angeles, standing in for a sleepy Illinois facility. But there was one big problem. The hospital sat directly under a busy flight path. Planes were constantly roaring overhead, forcing the crew to pause takes in the middle of tense, quiet scenes. Imagine Michael Myers stalking through the halls in silence, only for a jet engine to blast through the background. The irony was brutal. The king of quiet killers battling the noisiest neighbor imaginable. Somehow, the filmmakers managed to hide the interruptions, but the frustration nearly derailed the calm, suspenseful atmosphere they needed. Number 4. The poster that made Michael a zombie. The American poster for Halloween 2 showed a haunting jack-o'-lantern, fused with a human skull. A simple but iconic image. But in Japan, things took a bizarre turn. The Japanese theatrical poster peeled away Michael Myers' mask, revealing what looked like a decaying zombie face glowing under red light. It had almost nothing to do with the film, yet it added a creepy mythology of its own. Was Myers undead? Was the mask rotting into his skin? Fans still debate what the artist was thinking, but one thing is clear. Japan turned the boogeyman into something far stranger than he ever was on screen. Number 5. No one wanted the sequel. You'd think returning to Michael Myers would have been an easy yes for the original team. But the truth is, almost no one wanted to come back. John Carpenter was busy focusing on The Fog, Tommy Lee Wallace refused the director's chair, and Jamie Lee Curtis had already cut her hair short, forcing the production to use a wig. The only person truly excited was producer Irwin Yablans, who saw the money waiting at the box office. In the end, an unknown director, Rick Rosenthal, was brought in to piece the film together. What audiences saw as a slick continuation was, behind the scenes, a reluctant reunion. Number 6. A gore makeover. Fans often credit director Rick Rosenthal for cranking up the blood, but it was actually Carpenter who pushed the sequel into splatter territory. After seeing an early cut, he thought it felt as tame as a medical drama and decided to add more explicit kills. The shift wasn't about storytelling, it was about keeping up with the slasher arms race led by Friday the 13th. The first Halloween had terrified audiences with subtle shadows and creeping dread, but Halloween 2 bled buckets on purpose. Carpenter himself later admitted it was a compromise, a way to compete, even if it cost the movie some of its original suspense. Number 7. Universal took over. The original Halloween was made on a shoestring budget by an independent company, Compass International, but the sequel caught the eye of the big leagues. Universal Pictures stepped in to distribute, boosting the budget from just over $300,000 to $2.5 million. With that came a slicker look, familiar faces from Universal's TV roster, and the pressure of a studio franchise. Suddenly, Michael Myers wasn't just the boogeyman lurking in shadows, he was a commercial property expected to compete with Hollywood's biggest horror hits. What began as an indie nightmare had now become corporate terror. Number 8. The boiling water was freezing. One of the film's most brutal kills shows Myers dunking a nurse's head into scalding water until her skin burns. But behind the camera, the water wasn't boiling at all. It was ice-cold, dirty, and miserable to shoot in. Actress Pamela Susan Shoop revealed she had to endure repeated takes, shivering as her ears filled with the freezing water. By the end of filming, she'd developed a painful ear infection. What looked like a sizzling death on screen was, in reality, a chilling ordeal for the actress trapped in the tank. Number 9. Sequel that wasn't supposed to exist. When Carpenter and Deborah Hill made the first Halloween, they never imagined a franchise. The ending, Michael's body gone after being shot, wasn't meant as a cliffhanger, it was a metaphor, a reminder that evil never truly dies. But when the film pulled in over $70 million worldwide, the pressure was immediate, audiences demanded more. What was meant to be a self-contained nightmare was dragged back from the grave, and Halloween 2 became the reluctant continuation of a story that was never supposed to have another chapter. Number 10. Box office versus backlash. For all the chaos, Halloween 2 delivered at the box office. It pulled in over $25 million, making it the second highest-grossing horror movie of 1981, just behind An American Werewolf in London. But not everyone was thrilled. Critics slammed it for reprehensible content, and the film was outright banned in West Germany, Iceland, and Norway. For some, the blood was too much. For others, it was the perfect splatter sequel of its era. Either way, Halloween 2 carved itself into horror history, both celebrated and condemned. Halloween 2 was never meant to exist. It was a film stitched together from lawsuits, late-night writing binges, and the pressure of a studio that smelled profit. And maybe that's why it still lingers in the cultural imagination. It's messy, inconsistent, even despised, but it's also unforgettable. Sometimes horror doesn't come from a perfect plan, sometimes it's born out of chaos, and that chaos is what keeps Michael Myers walking the halls long after the credits roll.